So now it's time to create our navigation. First of all, what we need to do, we need to create a graphic for our buttons. So once in Photoshop, create a new file. Our navigation is as wide as 800 pixels. So width will be 800 pixels. Now each button's height will be 39 pixels. Now we want 3 states, so we have to multiply this by 3. So 39 by 3 is 117, I think. Let's just make sure. So it's 39 times 3, 117. Yeah. Okay. 17, and let's give it a name. PH and V, the same as a div name. Okay. Now let's zoom in, and using the guides, let's define this 39 pixels. Let's define the height of the 39 pixels. Actually divide this document in 3, and 39 is 60, 78. So 78 will be the next one. Hold on. 78. And this way we've got our document divided into 3. Okay, so the first thing will be to create the first line of buttons. To do this, let's use the rectangular marquee tool and select this first part of the document. Now let's go to the layers, create a new layer, fill it up with some color, deselect this, Control or Command D. Now let's multiply this layer, move it down, and once again same thing. Okay, let's close up, make sure that everything is in the right place. Okay, and okay. Now let's start with the top one, which is our bottom one here, and let's go to the effects and select gradient overlay. Okay, let's click on the gradient and choose some nice and dark gradient, which I've got already created here. That's okay. Now let's go to the next one, which will be our hover state. Gradient overlay, same thing. Lighter, darker like this. Okay, and the last one, let's apply the gradient a little bit lighter. Something like this. Okay, now let's just put all these layers into one folder so that we know that this is actually referring to the backgrounds. Okay, next folder, and this is where we're going to place our buttons. Let's use the text tool. Arial is fine, uppercase, bold, and make sure that you choose sharp so that the font's got very nice sharp edges. Okay, let's start typing. Home for the first button. The color we should use white. Now if we go to the layers, duplicate the layer, select the bottom one, move it 1 pixel up. Now go back to the character toolbar and change the color of it. Let's pick it from the background and make it darker a little bit so that it has such a nice, like, engraved kind of effect. Okay, now let's go back to the layers and put this button into its own folder, and now duplicate the whole folder, move it to the right. Next button was the next about us. Okay, so let's rename this about us. About us. Okay, now duplicate this layer again, Next one is products. Products. And products again. Fine. Next one will be services. And the last one was contact us. Okay, they obviously need to be spaced out properly. But before we do this, we need to create some borders around these buttons. So we've got 800 pixels by dividing by 5. So 800 pixels divided by 5 is 160. So each button will have 160 pixels. Let's zoom in. Let's go to 160, which is here. We need to create another guide. 160 and 160 is 320. 320 and 160 is 480. Is that right? I think it is. Then 480 and 160 is 640. Okay, and that should do. So now we've got our navigation divided into 5 buttons. Let's move these buttons to align them to the center. The easiest way to do it actually would be to use this rectangular marquee tool, select the first one, and no, we cannot do it actually this way, sorry. Okay, so we're gonna have to do manually, obviously. More or less. Yes, that's fine. About us. More or less in the center. Then products, which is okay. Services should be fine. And the last one. Okay, which is just fine. Let's save this file somewhere as our source file in case we need to change something later on. Let's create a working folder, and inside of this working folder, source. And we've got already name provided, so just click on save. And yes. Okay, so we've got our top bar nearly ready. So let's focus on these borders right now. To create the border, let's check the color of the outer border actually. The outer bottom border, which is A8, A4, A4. Let's use the same color to create the border around the buttons. A4, A4. We've got it already here, which is fine. Now go to the layers panel. Create a new layer, make sure that it's selected, use a pen tool, and let's start drawing the borders. Okay, so this is the first left one. Let's create actually each line separately on a separate layer so we can move it eventually if we need to. Okay, now we can duplicate this one, move it down. Now, very important thing is these lines, these horizontal lines. The first stripe will have a top one and a bottom one. Now let's duplicate this again, move it 1 pixel down so that the next button will have it at the top and at the bottom as well. And duplicate this again, and this time move just 1 pixel so that the bottom one hasn't got the line actually attached to it. Now, so these are the horizontal lines, so we can actually group them together in one folder, and let's rename this folder to horizontal lines. And now let's create another folder for vertical lines. Okay, so this one's the first. Let's duplicate this line, move it to the right. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to the next guide, duplicate the line again, move it. That's perfect. Next one, duplicate the line, move it again to the guide on the right, and once more. Okay, actually, and the last one right at the end. So we do the same. Okay. Save the file. Let's zoom out. That's all fine. Okay, now we need to duplicate the our headings. So let's duplicate this whole layer, move it down. Let's check whether the distance is the same using rectangular marquee tool. Let's check up to the white edge of the font info. Height is 14 pixels. Okay, let's try to move it here, whether it's from the guide. It's a little bit too far, as you can see, 1 pixel up, so the text has to go 1 pixel up. So let's move it up 1 pixel. Let's try it now. Yeah, that's 14, so that's great. You select, let's duplicate this layer again, move the text, check whether it's 14 as well. No, again, 1 up, so just 1 pixel up, and we are now set up. Okay, now obviously these the color of the text behind the white one should be changed slightly as well, because obviously the background color is slightly different, slightly lighter here as well, so we don't need as dark color of the font behind it. Okay, so if we go to our character toolbar and pick the color from the background, slightly darker, click on OK, perhaps a little bit darker. Oh, that's better. Now the same with the next one. Yeah, this one. Okay, if we go pick the color first from the background again, give it a little bit darker. Yeah, that looks just about right. Okay, so we've got our navigation image ready. Now let's save it for web. GIF has 12K, PNG has 6K. Well, it's half of it. And have a look at the quality. It's okay. Colors, perhaps if we increase to 256, it's going to go to 8 and it's going to be better quality. So let's stick to this one. Save. We've got a name already provided. Save it to our images folder. And in the next video, we'll start applying styling to our navigation.